one of the claims that has been made is that tech is exceptional. And one of the ways that people claim tech is exceptional is that it's exceptionally wicked. That unlike the entertainment industry, tech is very bad for creators, where the entertainment industry is very good. This is a very short-sighted and really amnesiac argument. I mean, it's the recording industry that decided that the Beatles would get 1 penny per LP to split 4 ways, minus 15% held back for breakage and promotion, right? That wasn't the tech sector that did that. And so, you know, there are some companies out there that bring music to the public that have extraordinarily bad deals for musicians. And one of them is YouTube, which is part of Google. It's the tech sector. But there are others that have equally bad arrangements that are creatures of the entertainment industry, like Spotify. So when Spotify started, it needed to have catalog. It needed to have all the music. Now, 70% of the recorded music is controlled by 3 companies, Sony, Warner, and Universal. They didn't invest in that music. They just gobbled up the companies that did, bought them at fire sale prices in the 90s and 2000s during various financial crises. And so this has given them 70% of the music catalog and 65% of the publishing rights. They're an oligopsony and an oligopoly, but they're monopolists, right? They control the industry. So Spotify goes to the big 3 and they say, what's it going to take to get a license to your catalog? And they go, well, this is very straightforward. You just have to make us your equity partners. We're going to be in business with you. And so now they have an irreconcilable conflict of interest, because every dollar that the record industry takes out of Spotify in the form of a royalty is a dollar that they can't take out in the form of a dividend. And the royalties are monies that they have to split with their creative workforce. And the dividends are theirs to divvy up as they choose to. They could give none of it to the artist, some of it to the artist, some to some artists. No one has a legal claim on it. It's down to their largesse as to who gets this money. And so they immediately negotiate a rock bottom per stream rate for Spotify. We all have heard how low the fees are for Spotify. What we don't hear so often is that Sony, Universal, and Warner insisted on it. And they got most favored nation status. So the 30% of music that they don't control all had to sell to Spotify on the same terms. But they negotiated minimum monthly payments for themselves. So say Warner is entitled to, say, $10 million a month, and say all the streams from Warner played on Spotify this month only add up to $5 million, they still get $10 million. The other $5 million is an unattributable royalty, and again, that's theirs to use as they see fit. So they also bargain to be freely included in playlists. If there's playlists you like, you should know that a substantial fraction of that playlist is payola. It's money people are paying to be included in that. Except the big 3 get included for free. They also got free advertising, free marketing, and so on. On the eve of Spotify's IPO, when they went public and those shares that the record companies were holding blew up, their standard deal expired. They had to negotiate a new deal with Spotify. And in theory, they had Spotify over a barrel, because that IPO would have failed without a deal with the big 3. They didn't bargain for a higher rate. They bargained for a lower rate.
Why would they do that?
Because then the shares would be worth more on the eve of the IPO. And so they got more billions from bargaining for a lower rate. And because of most favored nation, the other 30% of music that the big 3 don't control also took a haircut on the eve of the IPO, but they didn't have any shares. So that's how Spotify rigged the music market. And the fact that this is not substantially worse, although it has different contours to YouTube, tells you that it actually doesn't matter whether it's the tech sector or the entertainment sector. You know, we sometimes say if you're not paying for the product, you're the product, and then people buy like an iPhone and they discover they can't get it fixed at the shop they want. They have to pay Apple over the odds to get it fixed, and they realize they're still the product. You don't bribe companies into treating you as a product. Companies have to be terrified into treating you as not the product by competition and regulation. Those are the 2 things that regulate and discipline their conduct towards you. Giving them money will not conjure up the respect that you're due. And, you know, by the same token, it doesn't matter if the person who runs the firm that mediates between audiences and creators, runs that choke point, identifies as an entertainment executive or a tech executive. They're going to squeeze you for all they think they can get.
The Agenda with Steve Paikin is made possible through generous philanthropic contributions from viewers like you. Thank you for supporting TVO's journalism.